President Biden told reporters he feels good despite testing positive for COVID-19. The virus, which he's had twice before, forced him to cancel a campaign speech he was due to give in Las Vegas. The White House says Mr. Biden will self-isolate in his home state of Delaware, where he'll continue his duties. Before his COVID diagnosis, President Biden gave a television interview stating for the first time that he would consider dropping out of the election if any of his doctors said he had a medical condition. There have been repeated calls for Mr. Biden to not run for a second term after a poor performance in the TV debate against Donald Trump. In a statement, the White House press secretary said he will be returning to Delaware, where he will self-isolate and continue to carry out all his duties fully. The White House will provide regular updates on the president's status as he continues to fulfill his office duties while in isolation. Our first report on this is from our North America correspondent, David Willis. Good afternoon. Delegates were still taking their seats at a Hispanic civil rights conference when word came that the keynote speaker had to cancel. Regrettably, I was just on the phone with President Biden, and he shared his deep disappointment at not being able to join us this afternoon. He just tested positive for COVID. Minutes later, the White House confirmed that President Biden was experiencing mild upper respiratory symptoms, combined with what was referred to as general malaise. He fell sick after this appearance earlier in the day at a Mexican restaurant in the swing state of Nevada. Questions about his health have dominated the campaign since his faltering debate performance 3 weeks ago. But speaking before the diagnosis, he suggested it would take something more serious than COVID to make him drop out of the race. I would reevaluate if there was some medical condition that emerged, if doctors came to me and said I had a problem. I made a serious mistake in the debate, and look, when I originally ran, I said I was going to be a transitional candidate. I thought I could pass it on to someone else, but I didn't anticipate things getting so divided. Quite frankly, I think the only thing age brings is a little bit of wisdom. Calls from his own party for the president to step aside are growing. Influential Californian Congressman Adam Schiff said it was time for a passing of the torch, and it's emerged that leading Democrat in the Senate, Chuck Schumer, met Mr. Biden on Saturday in an attempt to persuade him to call it quits. Leaving Las Vegas for self-imposed isolation, the president was asked how he was feeling. "Feel good," he responded with a thumbs up. But this will do little to assuage concerns that at 81 years old, Joe Biden is lacking the physical and mental capacity to do the job. This unsteady exit speaks volumes about where the 2024 presidential race appears to be heading. David Willis, BBC News, Washington. My colleague Katrina Perry at the Republican National Convention has more on President Biden's COVID diagnosis. Joe Biden has not had a good run of luck in this campaign so far. Testing positive for COVID while on the campaign trail in Las Vegas, he paused his campaigning due to the assassination attempt on Donald Trump and resumed in Nevada. Yesterday and today, he had been at an event, done an interview, and was due to appear at a large rally for a Latino workers' rights union, which was cancelled at very late notice. The crowd was gathered when an organizer announced the cancellation due to Biden's COVID diagnosis, and he returned to Delaware for self-isolation. The White House stated that he has mild symptoms, including a runny nose and cough, and will continue his presidential duties while in self-isolation.